Labored, gasping breaths. A phone line crackling. 911 dispatcher. Sir? Sir, stay with me. Help is on the way. Just the slow creak of a ceiling fan. Then, nothing. He was dead before the ambulance turned onto his street. 5 days married, 70 years old. And the only person in the house when he collapsed was his 30-year-old bride. This is the story of Robert Ashford. But it's also the story of two men who died before him. Same pattern, same ending. And a woman who walks away richer every single time. Robert Ashford spent 40 years building bridges across the South. Precision, logic, structure. That was his world. 3 years ago, his wife Margaret died. Cancer. After the funeral, Robert tried to fill the silence with consulting work, mentoring, lectures, anything to avoid that empty house on Trad Street. His son Daniel, a defense attorney in Atlanta, saw it clearly. The way his father's voice would trail off during phone calls. The way he'd sit in his study, staring at blueprints he'd never use again. At 70, Robert had convinced himself romance was over. He wasn't looking for love, but Vivian Dillon was looking for him. It started at a charity gala. Robert stood on the balcony, counting minutes until he could leave. That's when she walked up. Vivian Dillon, 30 years old, dark hair pulled back, simple black dress. She didn't flirt. She asked him about the Ravenel Bridge, knew he'd done the structural assessment, asked smart questions, listened. For the first time in 3 years, Robert felt seen. After that night, Vivian started appearing everywhere. The farmer's market, the library, a lecture on architecture. Every encounter felt natural, coincidental. She shared just enough about herself, moved to Charleston after a breakup, worked remotely, no family nearby. She was lonely too, or so she said. Robert never questioned it. Why would he? She wasn't after anything. She was just there, filling the empty spaces. And Robert, a man who'd spent his career reading stress points in steel, never saw the cracks forming beneath him, but Daniel saw them. During a tense phone call 2 months in, "Dad, what do you actually know about her? Have you verified anything?" Robert bristled. "I know what I need to know." Late that night, alone, the questions crept in. Why had Vivian never introduced him to anyone from her past? Why did her stories feel just vague enough to be unverifiable? Robert pushed the thoughts away. He wanted to believe, so he did. When someone seems too perfect, too conveniently placed in every corner of your life, are they a gift from fate or a trap you're walking into with your eyes wide open? Welcome to Compass True Crime Stories. Kindly support and encourage us by subscribing to this channel as we continue to keep you entertained. New true crime stories around the world on a daily basis. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our next interesting and chilling true crime story. 3 months in, Daniel drove down from Atlanta unannounced. "I hired someone to look into Vivian. Her employment history is thin. Her social media only goes back 3 years. The marketing company, barely operational. So she values her privacy. Or she's hiding something." Robert pointed to the door. "Get out." When Vivian showed up an hour later with dinner and that soft smile, the doubt dissolved, and Robert chose her. What Robert didn't see, the way Vivian's eyes tracked documents on his desk, bank statements, investment portfolios, insurance papers, the way she'd steer conversations toward estate planning. "Have you thought about what happens if something happened to you?" Robert would wave it off, but Vivian planted seeds. "We're building a life together now. Shouldn't that be reflected?" She never pushed, just suggested. 4 months after they met, Robert proposed on his back porch at sunset. "I've spent 70 years building things. I know what solid ground feels like. And you're solid ground." Vivian's eyes filled. "Yes." The wedding was set for 3 weeks out. Small ceremony. Vivian said she'd invite friends. She didn't. Daniel called the morning of. "I hope I'm wrong?" He wasn't. The honeymoon phase was everything Robert imagined. Vivian cooked his favorites, walked the Battery with him, talked about trips they'd take. But small things shifted. Vivian now had keys to his study. She'd bring him his medication in the mornings. You do so much already. She suggested updating his will, introduced him to a lawyer she knew, documents drafted quickly. Robert signed without his usual scrutiny. He was happy, distracted. He didn't notice the dosage on his pill bottle had changed. On day 4, Robert woke up dizzy. His balance was off. Vision blurred. Vivian helped him back to bed, brought him water, his pills. Take these, you'll feel better. By evening, he felt worse, nauseous, weak. On day 5 morning, Robert didn't really wake up. He surfaced from sleep like coming up from deep water, slow, disoriented. His heart hammered irregularly. Vivian appeared with his pills, the same ones he'd been taking for 3 years, except they weren't. By noon, Robert collapsed in his study. The pain hit like a hammer to his skull. His vision whited out. And then, nothing. Vivian stood over him for 3 seconds, watching. Then she pulled out her phone. 911, my husband collapsed. I don't know what happened. Her voice broke perfectly. The paramedics arrived in under 8 minutes. They rushed Robert to the ER. At 3:47 p.m., a doctor approached Vivian in the waiting room. I'm so sorry. The stroke was catastrophic. He passed a few minutes ago. Vivian's hand flew to her mouth. A sob broke free. She called Daniel. Daniel, it's your father. He's gone. Silence, then low and cold. What did you do? Daniel made it to Charleston in 3 hours. Found Vivian in the hospital waiting room, face buried in her hands. He went to the morgue, saw his father on a steel table under harsh white light. Then he saw it, small burst blood vessel in Robert's left eye, petechiae on his neck, hemorrhagic stroke. Not uncommon in heart patients. But 5 days after marriage, to a woman no one knew, Daniel turned to Vivian. Tell me what happened. She recited her story. He woke up sick. She thought it was stress. He collapsed. She called 911. What medication was he taking? Who managed his pills? I did. I helped him. You had access to his medication. Daniel, what are you implying? I'm ordering an autopsy. 8 days after the funeral, the toxicology report came back. Warfarin levels consistent with overdose. Concentration 4x therapeutic range. His father had been poisoned. Daniel hired a private investigator. What they found chilled him. Victim number 1, Thomas Brennan, 68, Savannah, GA, married a woman named Veronica Kane. Died 10 days after the wedding. She inherited $2.1 million. Victim number 2, Edward Grayson, 72, Wilmington, NC. Married a woman named Victoria Reed. Died 8 days after the wedding. She inherited $3.8 million, same woman. Different names, same face. His father was the 3rd victim. Daniel invited Vivian to dinner. Public place. Recording app ready. Thomas Brennan, Savannah. Died 10 days after marrying Veronica Kane. Ring any bells? Vivian went still. Edward Grayson, Wilmington, Victoria Reed. Her face smoothed into something colder. You're looking for someone to blame. My father had warfarin levels, 4 times the therapeutic dose when he died. Overdose. Someone fed him those pills knowing exactly what would happen. You have no proof. I have 2 dead men with the same story, and I have you. She stood, leaned close. Your father died of a stroke. Natural causes. Good luck proving otherwise. She walked out. Daniel pressed stop on the recording and smiled. Detective Allen coordinated with Daniel, sent Vivian a fake text from Claire asking to meet at the house. When Vivian arrived, lights flooded on. Daniel stood in the living room, Detective Allen beside him, 2 officers behind them. Vivian Dillon, you're under arrest for the murder of Robert Ashford. This is ridiculous. We have your recorded confession, financial records, witness statements, forensic evidence, and a suitcase in your car packed for a 6 a.m. flight to Portugal. They cuffed her. As they let her out, Vivian twisted hard, broke free, ran. Officers cornered her in a backyard. Guns drawn. This time, they locked her in the patrol car. Daniel watched through the window as it pulled away. Vivian stared back at him, not with hate, with amusement. If you've made it this far, you're invested in seeing justice served. Stories like this only reach people who need to hear them when viewers like you share them. If this made you feel anything, hit that like button and share it, because the more people who see this, the more who'll recognize these warning signs before it's too late. Vivian sat in county jail for 3 months, no bail, flight risk. The prosecution was led by Assistant DA Rebecca Morton. Win rate 87%. The trial was packed, local news. Families from Savannah and Wilmington. Morton's opening, this case is about trust, about a woman who weaponized loneliness and turned it into murder. 3 names, 3 identities, 3 dead husbands. Millions of dollars taken from men who believed she loved them. The evidence came in waves. The medical examiner, someone deliberately administered excessive doses over 4 to 5 days. The forensic accountant traced money from all 3 estates to offshore accounts controlled by Vivian. The private investigator, same woman, different names, same method. The families testified. Thomas Brennan's daughter, Edward Grayson's son, Daniel. My father wanted to be happy, but because of her, he's not. Against her attorney's advice, Vivian took the stand. She wore gray, looked small, fragile. She loved Robert. His death destroyed her. I held his hand in the ambulance. I begged him to stay. Morton stood for cross-examination. How many husbands have you had? 3. How many are still alive? None. How much money did you inherit? $2.1 million from Thomas, $3.8 million from Edward, $5.7 million from Robert. That's $11.6 million from 3 dead husbands in 3 years. Morton leaned in. When you met Robert, did you already know he was worth over $5 million? That his wife had died? That he was lonely? I cared about him. Did you know warfarin causes hemorrhagic stroke? That it's nearly undetectable if administered gradually? I didn't poison him. Then explain the recording, where you didn't deny knowing Thomas or Edward, where you said, you have no proof. Not, I didn't do it. Just, you have no proof. Vivian didn't answer. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. On the charge of first-degree murder in the death of Robert Ashford, how do you find? Guilty. Edward Grayson? Guilty. Thomas Brennan? Guilty. Vivian didn't move, just stared straight ahead. Judge Callahan, you will be remanded to custody. The state is seeking life without possibility of parole. As they led her out, Vivian looked back at Daniel one last time. Her face was empty. No anger, no fear, no regret. Just nothing. 30 days later, the families gave victim impact statements. Daniel spoke last. My father built bridges. He spent his life connecting people, and she used that against him, used his kindness, his loneliness, his hope. Then she killed him for it. Judge Callahan read the sentence. 3 consecutive life terms without possibility of parole. You will spend the remainder of your natural life in prison. The gavel came down. Vivian was led away. 6 months later, Daniel stood in his father's house for the last time. Most of the furniture was gone. Claire helped him pack the last box. He deserved better. He did. Daniel had thrown himself into advocacy work, elder abuse prevention, identifying financial predators. You think there are more? Like her? Daniel remembered Vivian's words before arrest. There are more of us than you think. Yeah, I do. So what do? We keep talking, keep warning people, keep fighting, because silence is what people like her count on. Vivian sits in a maximum security facility, cell block D, no windows, no visitors. Every day is the same. At night, she sometimes thinks about the men, Thomas, Edward, Robert, not with regret, just memory. She'd had a good run. If Daniel had been just a little less persistent, she'd be in Portugal right now, planning the next one. But she's here, and here is where she'll die. The only question that keeps her awake, how many others are still out there, still hunting, still winning? The thought makes her smile in the dark. If evil can wear the face of love so convincingly that even the smartest among us fall for it, how do any of us stand a chance? Robert Ashford wasn't foolish. He was just human, lonely, hopeful, wanting to believe good things could still happen. And that's exactly what Vivian counted on. Right now, there's another Vivian out there, another Robert, another family about to be torn apart. You've watched this entire story. You've seen the red flags. You know what manipulation looks like now. So here's what matters. Are you going to scroll past and hope it never touches your life? Or subscribe to this channel, share this story, and make sure the people you care about understand that evil doesn't announce itself. It whispers promises and holds your hand while it destroys you. Silence protects predators. Awareness saves lives. Subscribe, share, stay vigilant, because the next Robert Ashford could be someone you love. 3 victims, 3 families destroyed, 1 predator finally stopped. But how many more are still out there, waiting for their next lonely heart to exploit? Thank you for watching to the end, and see you in our next episode of Compass True Crime Stories. Stay safe.